Hello Internet, welcome back to my channel. And in today's video we are going to talk about the rest of the costume pieces that you're going to need that you aren't going to make for Kylo Ren, as well as the belt. I thought I'd lump that all up together because this feels like it's going to be a shorter video, I think. I don't know. One hopes. I'm not very good at making pants, so I instead bought some. The pants that I got are a fake leather leggings, I guess. You can also use black jeans if you prefer. I got those for about $7 online, so they weren't a huge expenditure. I bought some black leather and fabric gloves, ones with like cool little designs on them because I thought that was pretty Kylo Ren-esque. They had like an extra bit on them and I cut it off so that way they would fit underneath of my my sleeve, because otherwise they wouldn't fit because they went down to about here, so I just cut it off. These were about $2. A couple years ago, when the movie first came out, Hasbro came out with some Kylo Ren masks, and I saw one and I loved it and I really wanted to get it. So I bought it. So I've had this for about 2 years, just in my things. That was originally why I decided I was going to do this cosplay, because I have this mask. It is one of those masks you can turn on and it makes sound. So I used it. It's just a half mask. I decided I was not going to complete the rest of the helmet because I'm lazy, and the rest of the costume took enough, so I'm just not going to do that. Also, I have the hood that's going to go over it the entire time, so it's okay. You don't really need a whole helmet if this is what you're going for. If you're going for a version of Kylo Ren without the mask, that's completely okay. I'm still going to do a wig styling and makeup tutorial for Kylo Ren because I intend to have sometimes wearing the mask, sometimes not. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You're also going to need a short black wig, preferably one that has heat resistant fibers so you can kind of curl it or put a little bit of a weave into it. Mine I bought off of Wish for about $7 or $8. I'm gonna go more into the actual specs of this particular wig when I do the wig and makeup tutorial, but that is just something you're going to need. I will leave a link in the description box below for where I got my wig and the leggings. The gloves I bought at a local thrift store. I'm big on finding things at your local thrift store. It's very cost effective. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, without any further ado, we're gonna jump into making the belt. You're going to take your belt pattern, put it out on some black faux leather vinyl. If you have actual leather, cool, you can do that too. I'm cheap and I'm doing just some faux leather vinyl, and cut it out, leaving your seam allowances of about ½ an inch all the way around. Take your pattern piece, fold it in half, wrap it around your body, and if you have enough overlapping with your costume on that you can safely Velcro it together, perfect. If you don't, like I had, with this one barely just went around my body, that's why I add a little bit extra. I only added about ½ inch. Now you're going to take your leather, turn it with the leather side in and the more vinyl fabric-y side out, and sew just along this bottom edge here, a very thin line. The beautiful thing about vinyl is that it does not fray, so you can put your seam very close to the edge and not worry about it fraying apart. Now you are going to turn it right side out. So you're just literally going to push this through the opening and just continue to force it through. This could take a while. Success! Now that you've got it all right side out, we're going to sew a very thin line on each edge. I would suggest to sew the edge that has your seam on it first, so that way you don't accidentally sew just the folded edge in, and to where you'd have it like with the seam on the inside. You want that one just sitting right out here on the very end, and just sew a very thin line on each side. Now that you have finished the stitching on the top and the bottom, you're going to put it around your body and decide how loose or tight you want your belt to be. Then you're going to mark that with a marker where you want it to fold over, draw a line on one side of the fabric and then on the inside of the other piece of the fabric, so that way it rests like so. And then you're going to sew on your Velcro onto one side and then sew the Velcro onto the other side. The side right on that faces the outside is where the belt buckle is going to go on top, the one that we are going to make out of foam. And it is going to cover your stitching lines on the outside so you don't have to worry about them, just as long as you're putting the piece of Velcro right along the edge here of this one. It can be on any side in here. That doesn't matter. What really matters is what's on this outside portion here. Now that you have finished the stitching on the top and the bottom, you're going to put it around your body and decide how loose or tight you want your belt to be. Then you are going to add a strip of Velcro at the point that you want it to be tightest, like. Then you're going to mark that with a marker where you want it to fold over, draw a line on one side of the fabric and then on the inside of the other piece of the fabric, so that way it rests like so. And then you're going to sew on your Velcro onto one side and then sew the Velcro onto the other side. The side right on that faces the outside is where the belt buckle is going to go on top, the one that we are going to make out of foam. And it is going to cover your stitching lines on the outside so you don't have to worry about them, just as long as you're putting the piece of Velcro right along the edge here of this one. It can be on any side in here. That doesn't matter. What really matters is what's on this outside portion here. Using my belt, I sketched out a shape that was the same height as the belt and roughly about a 2.5-inch width. If you are using a wider width than my belt or have a larger body, so on and so forth, you're going to upscale this just slightly for different sizes, because you don't want your belt buckle to be really small compared to the rest of your belt. You want it to be able to be seen and open. I have a very small torso, so my belt buckle is going to be proportionately small. Now, using a reference image, I'm going to sketch out the various shapes that are involved in the belt buckle thing. So this is the finished belt buckle pattern that I drew out It is interesting to note that each side is a mirrored, flipped version of each other. So this side would be actually here, and they're actually mirrored on each side. Now what you're going to do is you're going to take your pattern and just cut out a base for it out of very thin little craft foam, and then you're going to cut out a second one using your X-Acto knife, and you're going to trace out all the little bits in here. It's okay if you shave off little bits or don't necessarily leave full imprints and everything, just so that way you get basically the main big squares out. Use a piece of cardboard between the table and the foam, so that way when you're cutting, you're not cutting your table. Now we're going to take some of my wonderful heavy-duty contact cement, and we're going to put a layer of contact cement down here and put my craft foam onto my contact cement. There are many other types of glues that I have that I could use, but I'm going with contact cement as it really sticks on there. I'm going to cover it, however, in Mod Podge spray, so that way it gives it a nice glossy effect. Safety first, put some just plain rubber gloves on when using contact cement. If this is the way you are going to be sealing and gluing together your belt buckle, as it is a skin irritant, it is poisonous, and it is also flammable. So if you are under the age of 18, please have a parent present or an adult who is over the age of 18. Just be smart when using it. If you don't feel safe using contact cement, use Mod Podge, use foam glue, use any sort of glue that you think will stick to the foam. If you think you want to use double-sided tape, it's not going to stay down. But if you want to be safe, be safe. You can even hand stitch craft foam down if you really wanted to be that extra. I've decided that I really like the more matte finish with the more shiny finish in the back, so I'm not going to spray that over with Mod Podge, but I am going to take my contact cement, and the reason why in the first place I was using contact cement is because sticking this to the leather, most other glues won't work, but contact cement will glue the foam to the leather. So now that this is all glued together, we're gonna just lather on some nice bit of contact cement and affix this to the front and make sure that it is on the front facing side, which is why I velcroed mine together, so I couldn't possibly glue it to the wrong side. One of my favorite things about contact cement is that this is already practically dry. And I literally put it on about a minute or two ago. I literally just affixed the foam to the belt, and it is already staying on there very nice. I'm probably going to touch up a little bit of this with some black paint, but I don't know, I kind of like that rough, weathered look. And yeah, there's your belt.